So we stayed on as Roma manager, and we know we needed to improve the team to try to win SerieA and the Coppa Italia this year. Have we done it? You'll need to stick around to find out. Yes, hello, welcome on Into Living Sports, here for another episode of Glory Hunter on Football Manager 22. If you missed the last one, that was an interesting one. We were finishing off our season, deciding what we were going to do, and I'm sure you've already worked out. We're staying with Roma for one more year, but that does mean we have one more big transfer window to do. Can we improve the squad just enough to win the important trophies here in Italy? Maybe some European competition as well. Well, you're about to find out, and it's been very, very busy indeed. There's been quite a few outs, quite a few ins, and some surprises as well, which I certainly wasn't expecting. Let's start with the outs, because we brought in quite a bit of money. Actually, before we do that, and we talk about the transfer window, there's some other interesting information to tell you about. So Euro 2024 took place during the summer in our game world here on Glory Hunter, and quite a few managers lost their job, and we ended up picking up an international job. And we are now the manager of Austria. I know, might seem like a strange one. They were about the best team that would give us the job. We applied for Portugal, Italy, France, England. They all lost their managers. But we didn't get the jobs. We were offered jobs by Poland and Austria, and I chose to take Austria. Now, I know that the Nations League is not a competition that we were aiming to win. That's not one of our ones that we have to win. But two games that are just about to happen in the game are international fixtures against Finland and Portugal. So I'm going to show you those in the next episode to show you what our Austria team looks like. And then we'll forget about Austria until we're doing qualifying and stuff like that for the World Cup in 2026. But just before we talk about Roma and the interesting transfer goings-ons, thought I'd mention that we are also now Austria manager as well as Roma manager. But let's talk about the outs. As I said, we were going to, and the first one was Alexis Salamakers here. He has moved to Manchester United, the right-sided player from Belgium. He was only here for a year. We bought him for £21 million from AC Milan. We sold him for £39 million. He wasn't really that good compared to Dallo for us at right back, so we sold him. And now he's doing really well at Man United, which is a little bit annoying. But I say we made £39 million from him, adding that onto the 40 we already had in our transfer budget. Plus a little bit more, it certainly made our transfer budget very, very healthy for this transfer window. But that was our main sale, Salamakers away to Man United. Other sales included Jan Thielmann away to Hertha Berlin. We sold him for £10 million. We bought him for 13 2 seasons ago. Played a lot of substitute appearances for us. Never really broke into the team. Didn't score a huge number of goals for us. So he was sold on £10 million for a player we didn't really use. I feel that's not too bad. When you had Sesko and Abraham as your two first choice strikers, he wasn't really happy. He's playing third, sometimes fourth fiddle. So away he goes. And I'm sure you can work out we'll have brought in some attacking talent as well, because Matteo Cancellieri, another one of our strikers, is away as well. He's been at the club his whole career. We had him out on loan the last couple of years. Last season he came off the bench half a dozen times for us, never scored a goal. So we sold him to Fiorentina for £5 million, where he appears to be one of the first choice players, and he's not playing well. Someone else who we've let go, who, to be honest, you might even have forgotten that we even had in the team, he played for us so little, was Corentin Tolisso. Remember, we signed him from Bayern on a free a couple of years ago. Played 8 games, only 5 starts, then 11 with only 4 starts. Wasn't really an important squad player even for us. He didn't come off the bench that much. We sold him to Olympiacos for £7.5 million. Nice little bit of profit there for someone who didn't cost us anything when we brought him to the club. And the last man who's gone is Artur Cabral. Again, you probably wouldn't remember he was even here. We bought him for £18 million. Couldn't play him because he was a non-EU player. We'd already signed a non-EU player. Then the season he did play for us and he'd never scored a goal. Then we loaned him out to Porto, where he did really well. Came back, he didn't want to play for us, so we sold him to Shakhtar for £14 million. And guess what? He scored 3 goals in 4 games. So another one of those that just didn't quite work at us, but he seems to be doing well elsewhere. A couple of other deals of note to mention is Jakic. Remember, a midfield player that we did have. We signed him for £4 million from Dinamo Zagreb last year. We've loaned him out to Real Sociedad. And another player who we have loaned out is Valentino Lazaro, the right-sided player. Played for us, 5 times last year. We paid £5 million for him. Then he went on loan to Valencia. He's played 1 game for us this season, but that was only off the bench. And then he's away to Sporting Club de Portugal. Obviously, that meant we lost Salamakers. We've now lost Lazaro on the right-hand side. I think you've worked out we've probably brought someone else in to cover on that right-hand side. But Lazaro, probably not the last time we're going to see him, though, because he is obviously Austrian. He might be in our Austria team when we are managing Austria. Something to look out for in the next episode. But yeah, that's our main outs I've mentioned to you. And now we have a look at the ins, and we have spent quite a lot of money. And the first player we've brought in is Westin Mckenney. He is our non-EU player that we have signed for this season. The American, formerly of Juventus. We signed him on a free after his contract expired at the Turin club. Initially, he was going to be a replacement for Kamavinga in that kind of ball-winning role in midfield. I thought for free, that is an absolutely brilliant signing. Things may have changed slightly. I'll explain that later on in our ins. But that was his initial thought, and he'll be very, very useful in the squad as well, covering in those midfield positions. You can look at him there. He's got some good defensive stats, some nice mentals, very good physically, 6'1", 60 caps for America. He's pretty good. Not bad at all, especially since he didn't cost us a penny. Probably the most important signing we had to make was a goalkeeper. Obviously, Rui Patricio was retiring at the end of last season. Something I didn't think I was going to have to worry about because we weren't still going to be here. But indeed we are here. And we had to sign somebody. And we've signed Kepa Arrizabalaga, the Spanish 29-year-old goalkeeper. Now his stats has looked very good. We've paid £23 million for him from Chelsea. It's over a few years, not all up front. You can see we've played 2 games already this season. He's got 1 clean sheet and conceded 1 goal in the other one. Not doing too bad. And we know he's been a bit at Chelsea. It's probably safe to say that, with Mendy taking over from him. But I think for £23 million, that's not a bad option as a goalkeeper. He's got very good goalkeeping stats. Maybe a bit short at 6'1", but pretty decent. He signed a contract and he was happy to be classed as a backup player. So even if we didn't use him as a goalkeeper, he'd have been, as our first choice keeper, he would have been happy. But he is our first choice keeper, and I'm fairly happy with him in the goal this season. That's Kepa as our goalkeeper. So that was the things we mentioned. We needed a goalkeeper after Rui Patricio was retiring, and after we lost Kamavinga after his loan finished, we needed a midfielder. So we brought in Mckenney for that midfield role and Kepa for the goalkeeper. We added to our midfield depth, especially when we lost some of the midfielders you saw earlier on in the episode, by Tommaso Pobega, the 25-year-old Italian. No, I've never heard of him either. He seems very, very solid. We signed him from AC Milan for £2 million. And you know what? He helps our homegrown talent in the European competition. I'm not saying that's the only reason I signed him, but he's not bad as a backup to play that box-to-box or a ball-winning role for us. And he classes as a homegrown player from the nation, which is always useful. Speaking of a homegrown player from the nation, we've also signed Samuel Ricci? I don't know. I'll need to come up with the way how I'm going to say his name. Ricci, I think, is how I'm going to say it. The 23-year-old Italian, we signed him from Sassuolo for 32... Not Sassuolo, Empoli. Can I just not read? We signed him from Empoli for £32 million. Again, add some options in that central midfield area, giving us a bit of a backup option. You can see he can play as an advanced playmaker. We didn't really have a huge number of advanced playmakers behind Pellegrini in that midfield. It's something I thought we could have done with, and that's why we went and got Ricci here. Can play in that playmaker role. Very, very useful. 23-year-old, still time to develop as well. Again, classes as a homegrown player because he's Italian. useful for European competitions and registration rules. That was something we struggled with last year. We couldn't register half our players because most of them went Italian. So we've brought some more Italian blood into the squad. He looks very solid, look, well-rounded physicals and mentals. Nothing below a 12 in either of those categories. Good passing, good technique, good first touch. Defensively, can't tackle, can hardly mark. You know, his heading's only 8, so that's maybe not great. So certainly we won't be playing as a ball-winning player, and I'm quite surprised that it says he can play as a defensive midfielder. It's more of a playmaking defensive midfielder he can play as, but certainly as that advanced playmaker on that right-hand side of our midfield three, looks like a very, very solid option, certainly as a backup behind Pellegrini. The next player that we have brought in is Pierre Kahlulu, the right back, and also plays centre back, left back and right wing back as well. This will be covering as an option in that right wing back position for us. He's a very good physicals, very good mentals as well, and some nice technical stats in there as well. The 24-year-old Frenchman. Paid £26 million. Again, it's over a number of years. I've decided this year I don't care what I do to the finances at the club. I know that sounds bad, but I don't. I'm not going to be here so I can cripple them in the future. But this year I just want to be able to spend money to bring players in and improve us this year to win titles this year. And that's what I've looked to have done. It's the same with the last signing of Ricci as well. We paid £32 million, but that's over a number of years as well. So you can see initially AC Milan, went to Atletico Madrid for £13 million last year, played fairly well for them as our first choice right back, and then we signed him for £26 million. And him and Dallo will have a fight over that right back position, and then he can also cover the centre back if we need as well. I then probably made a signing I didn't have to make by signing Nico from Barcelona. We signed him for £31 million. Again, it's over several years. Again, we only paid like £5 million up front. A very nice, well-rounded player. He's another one that can play as a playmaker, maybe not so much as a ball winner or box-to-box, so another playmaking option and behind Ricci or Pellegrini in the midfield there. The more I look at it, the more I'm not sure why I did it, but still, he looks a very good player. We all know the youngsters that are coming through Barcelona at the moment. He's probably one of the less well-known ones, but a nice well-rounded player. He's got some nice first touch, you know, nice technique in passing. He's got good vision, you know, his position's okay, but he's got nice physical stats as well over there. He's 6'2" as well, so get some height in the midfield should we need that as well. Not too bad, but we're getting fairly full in the midfield trying to cover for Kamavinga at this point. And the signings keep on coming. I know what you're thinking. Goodness me, you've signed a lot of players. Indeed, we have. This is Giacomo Raspadori, the Italian striker and left winger from Sassuolo. £27 million over the course of, again, 3 years, spreading the cost out. You can see he's played one game so far, scored 2 goals for us and got a man of the match. Pretty decent. You can see he's got very good finishing at 16. Nice dribbling and first touch as well to play up front. Good physical stats. Acceleration 16. Pace 14. Got some good agility and balance as well. He's off the ball's good as well. His height's only 5'8", so he's not going to be winning many headers. However, he is very, very good. Very composed on the ball. You know, he's got good flair, good off the ball, as I mentioned, good finishing. He's just going to score goals for us. And I think as that third choice striker behind Sesko and Abraham, a good option in Raspadori. And he offers us something a little bit different. You know, he's not a big, tall, physical striker like Abraham or Sesko. He's a little bit more tricky, you know, a little bit lower centre of gravity. I think it's a good option. And we also have taken him off a rival in SerieA and Sassuolo. So not bad either. And it was at this point in the window that something unexpected and amazing happened. We managed to sign Kamavinga again and on loan. I know. I couldn't believe either. I don't think I have to mention how good Kamavinga is here. 4-star player currently, could still improve. Look at those stats. There's hardly any of them in single digits. Looking at him as, what do we play him as? I can't remember. I think we play him as a ball-winning midfielder, don't we? So if you look at the stats that are important to that, marking 15, tackling 15. He's got great passing to distribute as well, though. He's got good anticipation, positioning, work rate. He's got good concentration, good stamina, good strength. He's an all-round brilliant midfield player. And, yeah, you saw how well he did in the last 2 years. He's going to do the same again this year. So all those midfield players that we bought in to replace him, it turns out we didn't need to replace him. Yeah. Suppose the only positive thing about that is we've got lots of strength and depth in central midfield now. Remember last year when you lost the first three, we kind of struggled. Van de Beek came in January and became our best option in there. Jakic was there. Didn't have great depth in central midfield. This year we do. And another place last year we struggled with depth after the first three was centre back. So we've brought in some more depth in the centre back position. The first one we've brought in here is Attila Szalai. I'm going to call him Attila. I'm literally going to write his name right now and change it to Attila. Attila. He's now known as Attila, the Hungarian centre back. You can see very solid, good marking, 16, good tackling, 14 possession, 14 heading, 14, 6'4", got good physical stats as well, nice jumping, reach and strength. Paid £24 million over the course of 3 years. Yeah, coming in from Fenerbahce. They only paid £2 million for him. That's a bargain, I would say. The kind of decent player that he is. An option for us at centre back alongside Romagnoli and Kaike. And Lindelof ended up playing a lot of games last year, which we probably shouldn't really be good enough to be doing that. So he's still here. We've got Zagadou as well. Lots of good centre backs, but Attila will add to that. And I thought my window was done. However, on transfer deadline day, I made one more signing. It was a loan signing. It was another centre back. I'm not really sure if we need them, but I brought him in anyway, so now we have lots of good centre-backs. The last player we've brought in this window, in on loan, is Pembe, the 29-year-old now French centre-back from PSG. It says £10 million because we're paying £1 million a month in loan fee. Doesn't matter, we had it to spend, so why not? Yeah, he's been at PSG all of his career. He started to kind of fall out the team the last few seasons. He's played very well when he has played though, and we've signed him. You can see he's very good. 16 heading, 16 marking, 17 tackling, 15 positioning. Very, very good. He's passing the 12. He's got good physical stats. He's only 6 foot tall, so he's not the tallest of our centre-backs, but it's yet again another left-footed centre-back. Attila's left-footed as well. Zagadou's left-footed. Romagnoli's left-footed. Kimpembe's left-footed. We've got so many left-sided centre-backs. Some of them will probably have to play on the right side at some point. But yes, that was our last piece of business. Kimpembe coming in to add more defensive cover in this team. And I think we've built a pretty amazing, not only first 11, but a pretty amazing squad. Even when we rotate to our second 11 now, I think it's probably good enough to compete, up at the top of SerieA. So this is the team now that we've made all those signings, and there's only a couple of changes from last year. Arrizabalaga, obviously, Kepa in goal. Romagnoli moves into the centre of the three defenders. Zagadou moving over to the right, and Attila coming in on the left-hand side. We could have moved Attila to the right and kept Zagadou in the middle and Romagnoli on the left. We might do that. I've just done this because Attila likes being on the left. Zagadou is happy being in the middle, so that the middle's closest to the right compared to the left. That's the way I've done it, but we'll see how we get on. Maybe Zagadou will be better still as the covering defender. Dalot and Christensen keep their positions at the moment, but obviously Kahlulu is an option to cover on the right-hand side for Dalot. Say Christensen on the left. Rice, Kamavinga, Pellegrini, the midfield three. But we've now got great options on the bench with Risi, Nico, Mckenney, with Pobega as well if we really need Pobega. But basically those three options are the three real midfield covers that we have. The backup for Christensen still Calafiore. I say Kahlulu and Dalot on the right. Kimpembe, Kaike and Lindelof right down the bottom here as options at centre back. And then up front we're going Abraham and Sesko, but we've still got Raspadori and Kramaric as our two options for covering our strikers up front as well. You can see it's a very, very good team, and this team should be good enough to win SerieA. If we get the luck, it should be good enough to win the Coppa Italia as well. You never know, might be able to do something in Europe too. Talking about Europe, our Champions League group was drawn. Couldn't get much tougher, could it? We were apparently a second seed. Our first seed was Dortmund. Ourselves, Atletico Madrid were a third seed, and then Zenit were the fourth seed. Tough group. If we don't get out it, dropping into the Europa League might not be the worst thing in the world. Who knows? But we'll see how we do over the course of the next few months in that Champions League group. And we have played a couple of games of SerieA as well as we are at the end of the transfer window. We've won both of them. We won 3-0 against Spezia and 2-1 against Crotone. You can see both of those ties are down the bottom of the table, so not a surprise there, I suppose. You can see a few teams unbeaten at the moment ourselves, AC, Inter and Bologna. So AC and Inter both unbeaten as well, the two teams who were competing with us last year. Typical. So yeah, that is our update after the transfer window here at Roma. And it'll be a couple of episode time and we'll show you some games as Roma here. But in the next episode, we're going to be changing from our Roma hat to our Austria hat. And we'll be managing Austria in the Nations League up against Finland and Portugal. So if you are looking forward to that one, then please do leave a like on the video. If you have enjoyed this huge transfer special, our last big transfer window as Roma manager, then please do leave a like as well. It really does help us out. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so you don't miss a thing. You don't want to miss any Roma stuff. You don't want to miss any Austria stuff here in Glory Hunter. And until the next one, where it is those two games in the Nations League, we'll see you then.